So today, guys, I am joined with Miss Vanessa Gordon. We're all going to learn about her for the very first time together. I'm kind of digging these interviews where I'm having strangers on here to just kind of talk with me and learn about them. I'm excited to speak with her, reading her bio and seeing that she's a traveler, which, you know, guys, I've been expressing how much I want to travel internationally, especially. She's well rounded in that area. She's a mom and also a writer. So there are some things that really, I feel like we'll connect over, and hopefully we all get to know her a lot better during this episode. So, hey, how are you, Vanessa?
I am great. How are you today?
Pretty well. And this is dropping right before Halloween, guys. So what I wanted to do was have her to kind of share some of her ghost sighting experiences, which is something that kind of threw me off. I was like, ghost sighting experience? Whew.
Oh my God. Yeah, no, it's just so fascinating how just, ghost spirits and that whole culture is so vibrant all around the world. Yeah. Everywhere you go. Most, predominantly, of course, when I was in Ireland and England, they're like practically everywhere. During my graduate degree program, I studied abroad at Oxford, and I actually never knew it, but apparently like one of the rooms that I would hang out in was super haunted. I was like, okay, yeah, that makes sense now. But I'm so glad, though, I must say, though, before I begin, I'm so glad when people tell me after the fact.
Right.
Not before I stay there, but after. Oh, yeah, by the way, did you know that place is haunted? Or did you know that room is haunted? And then you just kind of like have that moment and you go, oh.
Yeah.
That's what that was. Oh, and that's what makes it so fascinating. Because I feel like when you already know it's haunted, you already go in like, okay, what am I going to hear? What am I going to feel, etc.
So you actually experienced it for yourself post them. Oh, man.
Yeah, quite a few times. And then, what I like to, I wish my first thing that I want to tell is that when I wish I had this book still, and I'm still trying to track this book to this day. So if any of your listeners happen to know what I'm talking about, please feel free to go dive right into eBay, Amazon. But what happened was, and I'm surprised like nobody pointed this out, it was so bizarre. When I took Spanish in high school, and we had our textbook, I think it was like Buenvenidos Hoyt something or other, had a green cover. I can't even make this up. You open it up to one of the cities in Mexico. I don't believe it was Mexico City. I believe it was either Mexico or it was in Central America somewhere. There were literally pictures. This one huge picture had little ghosts all throughout, scattered about the whole picture, in the buildings, outside, even in the pigeons that were. It was an outdoor, historic area of the city. Even in the pigeons' feathers, you could see little faces.
What?
It was the most bizarre thing. And I'm looking at this, and I'll never forget my family. We open it up, and I'm just staring at this page, and I'm going, what is this? Ghosts all over the page. Couldn't even make this up.
What?
It was bizarre. And I swear to God, I really should have just kept that book. I don't know what made me not keep it or photocopy it or something, but it was just so bizarre. Like it wouldn't make any sense to be in a high school textbook.
Wow. So okay, let's back up. So you're a traveler, and I'm sure you've seen many castles. I saw somewhere in your bio where you were talking about the castles you've explored. Have you ever encountered, any type of strange energy or something that makes you a little weirded out or freaked out, or even went to a castle where, it was rumored that this has been, a folklore of that city or town?
Definitely. So, when I was thinking, I always loved going to, I went to Canterbury Cathedral, Leeds Castle, you name it. I've been to so many, but what was so fascinating in particular is Tower of London. I never, for some reason, had an interest in seeing Tower of London. I felt like it's been talked about so much. We all know the history about it, So the last time I was in England, I finally actually got to go there with my daughter.
Oh, wow.
I will say this, and I may be sensitive to it or not, but I felt so sick the second I walked through those gates. And I don't think it was the fish and chips I ate, because I was eating fish and chips like every other day. I don't think that was it. But anyway, I felt almost like that sick feeling where you're about to maybe, I don't know, like take a test or do something that you're not really well prepared for. And you're really, but this almost felt like I was going to, I want to say it, the chopping block. That's how sick I felt. Like I couldn't even explain it. Like I felt like not only that I was being watched, but I was being made physically ill. And I didn't realize where I was standing for quite a long time because we were waiting for the tour to begin. And then at another part, we'd be waiting. At one point where I was standing the longest, which is a good 20, 25 minutes, just like kind of midway through the tour, like, what are we doing? Oh, I guess they were going to switch the people out. That was where I guess it wasn't Anne Boleyn, it was one of the other, not one of the Henry's queens, but somebody else that was brutally executed. Like it took quite a while to get the person's head off, kind of deal. Standing right where they last stood, apparently. I believe it was, Margaret, but it was one of the older women that King Henry VIII had killed. Pope or Poe, but Pole, excuse me, Margaret Pole was her name. And that's where she was. Wow. And I'm like, okay, that makes sense. And I even said to my daughter, who was only 5 years old at the time, I said, we have to go. I don't feel well. We really have to leave. So that was, I just thought, really bizarre. So I didn't see any ghosts there, but that energy was, and I have no interest, like really no interest. Like I love animals, and I also heard about what they did to all these like exotic animals at the Tower of London later in the tour. That just made me even more sick. And I said, you know what, this is, I want to go and I don't want to come back.
Yeah. So would you say that's the weirdest place you've been thus far?
A weirdest place? Yeah. To my knowledge, yes. And then another, I mean, I've been to Versailles. It was just a month. I mean, people say they see ghosts there. I'll just say it was just such an uncomfortable monstrosity. I totally understand why the French Revolution happened, because that was just absurd.
Wow. Yeah. Man, that's scary. I mean, as someone who doesn't even watch like scary movies for the most part, like I'm a lighthearted type of spirit. I like to watch stuff that's funny, adventurous, even like, family movies, that type of thing, comedies. But the haunted stuff, I don't know what I'd do if I had that experience, especially so far away from home. You can't just say, well, I'm packing up, I'm out of here. You got to finish the trip.
Yeah. Oh, definitely.
So I don't know if that energy just sticks with you or what, but man, that's scary.
Yeah, no, definitely.
I'm happy you shared that with us, because I wanted to ask you about that. I was like, well, this is perfect. Right before Halloween, we can have a little conversation about, some ghost sightings and her experience with that, because I have very, very minimal experience with that type of thing. What I will ask is, do you watch anything on television?
I will say this. I wish that some of these networks would bring back some of these old shows that they used to have on. Like I remember ABC Family, I think it's now called Freeform. They used to have a show called Real Scary Stories. And that was a really good show. And I believe there was another one, Are You Afraid of the Dark? Well, that was fiction, but it would kind of come on simultaneously with that. Right now, I watch either Destination America or Travel Channel. They'll have like most haunted spots, but I really like the ghost stories. I'm not really into those shows where like you have the team of people with their little, monitors and such. I like actually hearing the history of the story and the tale, so to say. So I hope there's some more shows that maybe come on like that. But that's what I like to watch.
So you like the Blair Witch type thing? The stuff that's supposed to have a little history to it, and you can actually, see, I'm out of Tennessee, so we get the Blair Witch thing all the time. I'm in Nashville, and so like that's a big thing right now. They're gonna have so many tours of that place. It's ridiculous. Well, COVID, so I don't know, but typically you'd see different documentaries come up, new information surfaces about it, so I don't know, guys. I kind of leave all of that alone. If I experience it, I experience it. But I'm fortunately, I'm gonna knock on some wood. I haven't had too many experiences like that. But I haven't went to anywhere where these things are cited on a regular. So that may be part of my problem, huh? I should go and explore some places like Vanessa here and see what happens.
Yeah, there's so many. I mean, there's a place, I used to grow up in Connecticut, and there's this like old insane asylum. in Newtown, Connecticut. They have done filming there on some of the shows. Who's in with me? I am totally down for going there at night, the dead of the night. And everyone's like, oh, I don't know. I don't think it's allowed, Vanessa. You have to get permission. Nobody cares. Nobody's been down for it, so I'm still waiting.
Nah, enjoy your picnics at the cemetery, girl. I don't think nobody's gonna join you with that one.
No, I've tried. No.
Yeah. Wow. So what's somewhere else that you're looking forward to visiting, post all this COVID stuff?
Oh God, I want to get to Scotland. That's the one area I haven't gone to yet. And there are so many haunted castles and hotels that are now hotels, and definitely want to get there. And I want to get back to the French countryside again, but Scotland first and foremost, and just literally stay one after the other. But I don't want them to tell me which room is haunted, or don't tell me anything. I'm going to kind of just go in blind and just see what I discover.
Yeah.
Like I have to know it's haunted, but I have to know, I don't want to know the backstory.
Got you. Oh, look at the baby starting to come into the interview.
Oh, yeah. She will literally do anything to get attention, including throwing pillows at me, stealing my stuff, anything. You name it, she'll do it.
Oh, wow. So wait, what do they do when when they're with you and you experience these things? You know how they say children are like pure souls and pure energy.
So. Okay. I have a great actually quick story. My daughter had an interesting thing that happened to her a few years ago. So we had a black cat that we had rescued. Her name was Lucy. And she passed away in 2015. We only had her for 2 years. She was abandoned at a local hotel out here. So we rescued her and brought her in, which was, oh my gosh, quite a feat. I mean, she was quite in rough shape when we brought her in, but we were very blessed to have her for a little over 2 years. So she passed away in 2015, but Sarah wouldn't actually remember Lucy. There's a couple of photos of her around, but not much. But all of a sudden, my daughter was looking out the window one day, and she says, "Mommy, do you see that black kitty over there?" Can't even make this up. I said, "No, where?" "It's right there."
Wow.
And I said, "Where?" Where is by the tree? She actually pointed very specifically by the tree, that tall tree there. I said, "You mean the one that's parallel to the other tall tree?" And she says, "Yes, right there. It's a black kitty sitting there."
Wow.
And I think I had to ask her, "Is she sitting?" I says, "The cat's sitting or walking?" She says, "Sitting there." I didn't see anything. But I did walk outside with my daughter, I think a few days later, and I said, "Where did you see that kitty cat?" And I said, "Did you see that kitty cat as like you see me?" And she says, "Yes." And she pointed exactly to where Lucy was buried.
Wow.
I don't know if it was just but my daughter's not one to lie. She's not one to just say random things. Same with my son. He's not going to randomly say something that's not there. So I feel that there was something. I did speak to a psychic after that. And, of course they said, "Oh, yes, because that's they have the innocent souls." And, so I just thought that was very fascinating.
Right. Yeah. I mean, maybe something to it. I mean, you can't make that up,
Yeah. She was very random
at the very, spot where she's
very
at.
random when she said that.
Yeah. So has she had that experience to happen again, or is that
that was the most poignant one, but there were a few other ones here and there that there, just like it was no big deal, but I can't recall those, but that was the one most specifically that I can recall from beginning to end. I feel that when we were in England, there were a few times where she would just randomly, I feel like she would say like, "Do you see that person over there?" And they'd be like, "Nobody there," or I was just like, "Oh, whatever." And I kind of just blow it off, and because I'm usually in a hurry, and I'm like, "Oh, okay, whatever."
See, guys, I'm sure y'all listening to this and can recall a time in your life where you had something freakish to happen or something unexplainable. And so that's kind of why I wanted to open this podcast up with those types of stories, because I'm sure more people can relate. I think it happens more often. Honestly, Vanessa, I think it happens more often what people want to, credit it for, because it's considered strange.
I agree.
People aren't comfortable revealing that type of stuff. So it's considered very strange and, odd, and may make them feel a little weird. So
I agree. I think a lot of people sometimes don't even realize that it's happening.
mm-hmm.
I always wonder sometimes if, you know how, if you see something from the corner of your eye and it'll actually be something that's real, but then there's sometimes where it's not, there's like nothing there. I wonder about that. You know, how often are these entities around us? You know, I hope that I will say though, I am a believer. I hope more than anything that the afterlife is real. You know, especially for the sake of, I've lost many people in my life, you know, my elderly, you know, including my grandfather, who I lost 6 years ago. My God. But anyway, I hope that he's still out there somewhere.
Right. No, I'm a firm believer in the afterlife too. You know, it took for me to lose my grandmother for me to believe in it, because I did start experiencing, you know, things that I considered abnormal to us on this side. And so, yeah, you know, I definitely believe that is an afterlife, you know, but I love science too. And so I always kind of back it up with this whole law of thermodynamics type of thing. You know, I always tell people if matter or energy cannot be created nor destroyed.
That's exactly what I was going to say. Yeah.
Where does it go upon death? You know, it can only be transferred. And so, yeah, that's how I reason with that. And then also, you know, spiritual experiences of, you know, post her passing, things occurring, you know, in ways to indicate that there's a presence there. And so, yeah, I rest in that. I believe when I close my eyes, I'll meet people that I've never met before, that are my ancestors, and you know, like my grandmother. I think that they're all there now serving as guardian angels.
Yeah, absolutely. And I wish that there were people, of course, that, you know, it's so nice. You hear stories about them, and, you know, there was no way that I could have ever met them. You know, now, you know, there were people from, you know, of course I could have never have met, that I would have, you know, loved to meet one, you know, of course, you know, down the road.
I don't want to spend, you know, all of our time talking about, you know, the freakish stuff that some people probably like, whoa, wait a minute, they talking about ghosts and spirits and everything else. And I'm about to just go on and sign off. Don't do that, people. Stay with us. You made it this far. Now we exiting out of that conversation. We're going to let Vanessa here kind of talk about what she has going on as a writer, as a traveler and a writer. Let's talk about that a little bit. You have something called the East End Taste.
Yep, that's my digital publication, which, you know, talking about, you know, passion to career. It's just so funny how things in my life have been starting. I feel like I start something. I already had quite a responsibility. My daughter was just born when I started East End Taste originally. It was purely just supposed to be a creative outlet where I could just kind of write, keep, you know, family and friends and, you know, up to date, what's going on. I love food, and I love going out to eat. So it's, you know, little bits and bobs of, you know, that, nothing more. But because I was also freelance writing at the time, and I would go to networking meetings and whatever, press events, I would have to make business cards. So I just made a business because I was freelancing instead of just writing freelance. I wanted to have more of an establishment. So I wrote East End Taste on the business card. And as I'd give people my business card, people naturally would say, what is this? And it grew from there, out of the interest, the outside interest, and then growing in. And just because I truly loved what I did, and people just couldn't believe, they're like, you don't get anything for this, Vanessa? I said, I just like writing. I said, that's it. I said, I'm not looking for anything out of this. And now, lo and behold, here we are. Oh my God, almost 6 years later. And we're a media publishing company and marketing company. So and now we're at e-commerce. I'm kind of signed because it's just like yet another thing, but that I kind of got thrown into by accident. I literally just wanted to create some branded face masks to give out to people, you know, for gift bags or presents, whatever. But now this is actually one of my face masks. I have about 24 styles. Wow. So
yeah, it looks cool. It looks cool.
Thank you.
It's tight fitted too. You know, that's
and it's really issue. Comfortable. I mean, I could wear it after no surgery. So, you know, it's really comfortable. And I have literally put it through the ringer as far as the washer and dryer. So it can withstand anything.
Nice.
Bulky, you know, I did the heavy duty load, you know, the whole bit. But anyway, I only say, you know, delicate wash, you know, lay flat to dry, but
yeah,
just so that's out there. But anyway, it's just so fascinating how, you know, life life works like that. But I'm happy. I kind of had a moment yesterday where it was getting to be a lot. Starting to start like, I don't know, especially this year, I feel like, I'd be done with one task and I'd have to just jump into something else. It was never done. Nothing was ever satisfactory. There's always just another component to it, and people coming in like, "Oh, Vanessa, I need that." I don't know. It was just. This is a strange year. It was supposed to be a very strong year for us. This is supposed to be literally our best year ever, so to say. Yeah. Turned into our, I'm sure, most productive year, but emotionally taxing year.
Yeah. Yeah. So why do you say it was supposed to be you all's best year?
We're supposed to have a huge event. We're supposed to have some smaller events out here on Long Island. We were supposed to have a heavy travel. Gotcha. We had at least 8 trips planned, at least that. And that was already by March.
Right.
And of course, all of those, I think there's a couple that are popping up here and there for potentially for 2021, but a lot of great. We had some, brand partnerships. Oh my God, a lot of good stuff planned. Right. But it all went to pot for now.
Yeah, hopefully you can pick it back up, and get it back on track there. After a post you starred in the East End Taste magazine, you were able to create an annual event. You want to spend a little bit of time talking about that?
Sure. Yes. So, and in addition to that, we were supposed to go print. I can't forget. We were supposed to go print. We didn't go print. Oh, what a disaster. Oh, we were supposed to do a beautiful glossy. We were going to do 2 issues. Our intention was to do 2 issues a season. One Memorial Day, one July 4th or midsummer. And it was just going to be amazing. But anyway.
But you know what? Think about it this way. COVID is kind of limiting your exposure to people. So you wouldn't have been able to sell it the same, Would have been definitely digital at some point anyway. So you wouldn't want to be stuck with publications and not being able to sell them,
No, and I will say I was shocked actually that a lot of the publications out where I am on Long Island actually went to print. Because I hate to be that person, but they were piling up significantly around the grocery stores. You find them in the muck and the rain. Nobody's picking that up. Nobody, it was foolish, but whatever. That's them. That's not me. But anyway, I started. So what happened was I literally just wanted to do an event. This is another thing that I literally was going to be just a 15-person event. Just a little dinner. A couple brands getting together, just something fun. Just wanted to kind of do some experiential marketing, which is basically when brands come in person and a little networking, a little brand, all that fun stuff. It turned into a big to-do. The first event we did in 2018, we had 150 people, I think 12 to 15 brands on board. And the second year it was larger, but we had 10 brands on board. And we did it one at one major hotel out here, and then we switched and did another location. Then this year was supposed to be at a totally different hotel. We rotate our beneficiaries or nonprofits that we partner with every year. Just to give that, different people different exposure, and depending upon what the theme is for the event. But for the masks, I have partnered with Kids Need More, which is a Long Island charity for children who are dealing with, going through cancer treatments. So I'm partnering with them. Originally, that was supposed to be for the brunch, but I'm partnering with them for the mask. So I'm always innovative in terms of how to help others.
Yeah.
In any way I can.
I love that. That's cool. So I've learned several things about you just in this short period of time. And I've been asking you all these questions, but now I'm going to flip it on you a little bit. You can ask me anything you'd like to know during this interview. Yeah.
Well, I'd love to know. So I'd love to know actually more about not only have you started your podcast, but also other stories that, that jump to mind from previous guests.
Oh,
have like a little recap.
Oh, of previous episodes. Woof. Let's see. I'm over 20 now. It's very, very new podcast. So I'm going to break this November. Well, actually, I'm going to stop at 30 episodes. So we have about 3 more to release post this one. And then I'm going to end the season. So that's a note to everybody watching. I'm going to end this season once we hit 30 episodes because I want everyone to have a chance to really go back through and listen to those before I jump into season 2 in January. It's been a whirlwind of surprises, to say the least. I started off really just having conversations with people that I know, people that I've met, having been to college twice. I went to a community college and then I finished at a 4-year college. So I met a lot of people along the way. Some of them I stayed in contact with, some professors I stayed in contact with. And so I started this podcast talking to family, some friends, and also like professional and also kind of career and friend based relationships out of those college experiences. And so we just got together and we had real conversations about real things, and things that I feel like matters. And so a lot of it started with partnerships that I had through Urban Thread 615. So you're new to me as I am you. And so I guess I should tell you a little bit about Urban Threads. It is a blog I started to kind of preserve the culture here in Nashville. And so because we were seeing a wave of different changes, people from all over the world were gravitating to Nashville, Tennessee. We were really booming. We're still a booming economy, even, with all that's going on. But it was making a lot of people kind of fall off the radar, so to say. And so I went to DC, came back and realized, a lot was changing about my hometown. And I just wanted to make sure that certain elements were being preserved and people had some means of accessing those things, those elements that were being lost. And so I created Urban Threads, which is a blog that just basically showcases Nashville through multimedia. And similar to what you're doing, I would update people about restaurants and, events that we're known for. Some of our staples like hot chicken, Nashville hot chicken. We have a whole festival around that. We have several musical festivals, as we're known as the Music City. And so I just kind of was making sure I gave people a taste of Nashville from a native perspective, which is very rare because most people who live here now are what we're terming them transplants. I hate to say that, but that's just the loose coin term for people who who haven't came from Nashville but live here. And so that's kind of how this all got started. And I decided to do a podcast. That same year, about 4 years ago, I released True Talks, and it was primarily giving artists and businesses and organizations a platform to promote their product, their artistry, or their cause. And I've ventured away from that as much because it wasn't, the true intent that I had for True Talks. Now you're meeting me at a perfect time because this is exactly the way I envision True Talks being. Very conversational, very much so a space where we get together and we learn about each other. We talk about things that I feel like matters, whether that's race, whether that's any type of disparities we're facing, or even just what's your favorite pizza. Today we telling ghost sighting, sharing ghost sighting stories and that type of thing. So now it's just a wave of interviewing people. And so, yeah, what comes to mind with previous interviews that I've had, I think moving forward, the most impactful ones have been the ones that I've had with strangers like yourself. I've had 2 other guests on here that I knew absolutely nothing about. And both times it was a very intriguing conversation. I learned so much. And so moving forward in season 2, because of those interviews and like this one, I think I'm going to be more intentional about inviting people I don't know onto my podcast and just going with the flow of things. So you are the third stranger technically I've had on True Talks. And I'm very honored to say that you guys are really making me propel forward and doing this more often. So I hope that answers your question of, when I reflect back over this season, what I get out of it. Yeah.
I think especially now, I just love meeting new people.
Yeah.
And, especially in an industry that I'm in, that I'm literally, it's so funny how people say, oh my gosh, I'm not used to working at home. I want my office. Welcome to my life. I say to all of them, this is my life. For 6 years, I've been this is my bedroom/office.
Yeah.
And I'm just used to it. In fact, I would love a few days in an office. People have said to me, oh, you should join those cooperative, but I have my 2, those spaces, but I have my 2 children and they can be very naughty. They can be naughty, as you can. It's kind of, my daughter's having a field day with that box. So anyway, that's, so it's tough juggling a career and children, but I wouldn't have it any other way though.
Yeah. No, I feel like, I feel like this is cool too, in that we're now relying on stuff like Zoom to meet people, because you're not even here. You know, you're out of New York, right?
Yes.
Yeah, so like this is a great experience to chat with someone, you know, that's not even where I am, and getting to meet you. It's not stopping anything. I don't have to physically come to New York and say, "Hey, let's go have coffee. We could just do this at a comfort of from the comfort of our homes, and converse about anything." So yeah, it's been great. I hope you've enjoyed this as much as I have.
Oh, I have. Yes.
And thank you for being so open and sharing, you know, your ghost stories with me. I'm sure that my audience is gonna love it. Yeah.
Also, I'm gonna email you something too. I do have a photo from another book, it's called The Travel Book. It's a big red book. And I'm gonna email you this photo of literally, I've shown this photo to everyone, and I just say, "What is this?" And everyone goes, "What the? Oh my God." So I'll send you the photo and
Okay, cool.
see what you'd make of it.
Yeah, definitely. You have my email, yo. But to anyone else who's watching who wants to send me some weird stuff, anything that you have in ghost stories, if you'd like to contribute in conversation, y'all know I always tell y'all, join our conversations with any of my guests by doing one of two things. You can email me directly at trutalkspodcast@yahoo.com, or you can comment from wherever you're listening to this at, that allows you to comment. On Anchor FM, you can actually record a message. So if you're comfortable doing that, you can record a message. I may play it in my next episode. So definitely do that. But yeah, this has been fun. I'm gonna be thinking about those stories now.
Yeah, definitely.
Probably on Halloween for sure.
Absolutely. When I share the podcast too, I'll share the photo with everyone too. So
okay, cool.
Get to see it.
Cool. I appreciate it. Hey, well, I won't hold you any longer. Thank you. It was so nice meeting you. We'll have to link back up again.
Absolutely. Anytime.
Hey, you have a blessed day. Like I always leave you guys, be blessed in every day that God gives you. Your life is full of purpose. Until next time, deuces.